Take 2.5 billion pounds of potatoes and 900 million pounds of corn. Add one of the world's best-known brand names, and you have some of the ingredients that make Frido Lay the dominant player in the snack food business. Each year, Frido Lay produces 8.5 billion bags of snacks. That's about 33 bags for each person in North America. But potatoes and corn aren't the only ingredients that go into Frido Lay's success. Here in Denver, in the company's southwestern sales region, that success has a lot to do with teamwork, a balance between job and family, and a level of trust that allows people to say what's really on their minds. It may sound idealistic, but here it's the driving force behind a business that is now profitable after years of lower profit performance. The turnaround started 3 years ago when Randy Melville stepped in as Area Vice President.
It wasn't a question of not having good players, because we had that, but really making sure people were clear as to what they had to do.
First of all, the business was really in bad shape, so obviously morale wasn't very good at all. We were like $2.5 million behind plan, and one of the worst areas in the company in terms of performance. I think like number 21 out of 22. So people weren't feeling really good, and it was one of those areas too where people had a real lack of confidence. People weren't ready to step up and make decisions.
It really took a number of times of me going out with my team for people to really believe, well, I think this guy could really be serious about changing this thing. So once they saw that small win in terms of building the profitability, and number two, how they could impact the business, they then began to believe.
Getting people to believe in their ability to win and win as a team is not something new for Randy Melville. As team captain at Princeton, he learned that it takes more than a good jump shot to put together a winning team. It takes leadership.
I think that there are a couple of lessons that I learned early on in playing basketball at Princeton. I played for a great coach, probably one of the best strategists, I think, in college coaching. He just recently retired. Pete Carell was at Princeton for 29 years. And a couple of things I learned from him. First thing is, he would always say that adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. And I've learned in difficult times, in stressful times in business, you really find out how strong your team is. And I think in those times you really learn a lot about yourself, about your character. I think it's important that my managers know when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, that I'm up front with them. If I have a point of view, that I tell them to their face as opposed to having the water cooler talk. So I would say integrity and trust is probably most important to me. Are we still going to trade that to Albuquerque? We had talked about it. I forgot. Where did we net out? Where did you decide not to do it?
No, I want to do it.
I try not only to profess what I believe in, but more importantly, to act those things out.
And one of our key elements in our business is growth with integrity, and I think Randy really exemplifies that. He's very open, very honest with people. Like I said, no hidden agendas. So I think, he recognizes, that there are really two things within our company that will kill you, and that is, number one, if you don't get results, and number two, if you just don't have the integrity. So he really, while he's a very competitive person and drives the business very hard to get results, if it's not without integrity, then it's a failure as well.
You have to ensure that your actions are consistent with your values. I used to work for a boss that said that he had an open door policy. Well, figuratively, the door was open, but that was only if, in fact, you brought good news. So if you, in fact, brought bad news, you would have wished you hadn't gone in the office. And so I learned early on that it's important to ensure when you say you have an open door policy or you want to have people tell you about things that are not going so well, that your behavior must, in fact, match what you say.
As the finance director, I have to deliver quite a bit of bad news, unfortunately, sometimes. So the worst thing that can happen is that you hide that, and he knows that. So I'm very open with Randy in terms of delivering the bad news when we do have it.
I think by then they'll understand what at least the baseline around what our strategy is before we actually hit them for the first time in the T1 meeting.
Good.
For Randy, integrity leads to trust, and trust opens up lines of communication. Randy gives people honest, candid feedback, and he encourages people to tell him exactly what's on their minds.
I love the fact that I can push back on him. I feel very comfortable about pushing back on him, and I do it quite a bit. More importantly, though, I think it's helped me in my management style say to my people, look, it's okay to tell me if you don't agree with something I'm doing. Because I think, again, if that works up and down the organization, but I think because of him, that allows me to be better, it allows my people to feel they're more approachable to me, and as well as Randy.
In addition to one-on-one communication, Randy encourages dialogue through a 1-800-RANDY telephone hotline and countless informal meetings to keep information flowing in all directions. The emphasis on trust and open communication makes it much easier to act on another core value that people here associate with Randy Melville's leadership: teamwork. Jeff Dietrich remembers a meeting where the group was challenged to meet a very aggressive sales goal.
And it just reached that point of tension in the meeting where Randy just finally said, wait a minute. He goes, how do you guys really feel about this? And it was like, well, we're fine, Randy, it's okay. I mean, we'll go get the extra thing and we'll go beat the people a little bit more or whatever we got to do to get that number. He's going, no, that's not what I'm saying. He goes, do you believe in this?
Our group would try to use me as a barometer to see, well, which way is the wind blowing here? Is Randy feeling that's a good idea, is a bad idea? And most times I would try to be fairly good poker face in terms of not putting out my point of view. And the reason is I really wanted to see where the group was. And I think early on it was, accusations of hidden agenda, of manipulation. Why don't you just tell us what to do? And I really tried to resist that. I'm a firm believer that I think self-discovery is better than just directed discovery, me telling you where to go as opposed to you finding your way through the forest.
And see, what he, again, what he does is this culture is just so ingrained to saying yes. Here's the result, go out and get it, and don't challenge that. And he says, you guys need to step up and say, look, I don't believe this, or I don't understand why, and challenge us to say, this is why we need to go do this. Now, if it's hard to go do, let's figure it out as a team. Let's figure out how to go hit those numbers.
Another change that came about under Randy's leadership was based on his strong commitment to achieving a balance between work and family. The idea ran counter to a culture where people routinely took calls at home and constantly checked voicemail from their vacations. People began to take him seriously when they realized he lives by his own rules.
I called Randy one time at home early on. Randy says, JD, you and I have a pretty good relationship. I can talk to you about this. Don't ever call me at home.
I don't take business calls at home. And I have a three-peat rule. It's like the Lakers or the three-peat. And the three-peat rule is simply this. Number one, if someone calls me at home, number one, it better be urgent and important. Two, it better be something that only I can handle. And three, it better be something that couldn't wait till tomorrow. Because I firmly believe when people are home, that's their private time, that's their personal time, that's their time with their family. And I try to abide by my own three-peat rule as well in terms of not calling my people at home.
We had a roundtable meeting in El Paso, and one of the first questions he asked was, it was on a Wednesday, he asked, okay, how many people is it your day off? And about 4 or 5 people raised their hands and said, yeah, it's my day off, but we had this meeting. And he said, well, go home. Just go home.
Changing the business was not an easy task, not even for someone as persuasive as Randy Melville. But Randy showed over and over again by his own example that integrity, teamwork, and balance were values that could drive a winning team. And it's paid off. Under Randy's guidance, the Southwestern Sales Region's performance ranking has continuously risen. Profits are up, morale is high, and people now have a real sense of involvement.
And it's pretty exciting to see now the culture has changed. People feel engaged, they feel empowered, they feel, and probably the most important thing to me, they feel part of a larger team as opposed to an us and them attitude.
He is a coach. He basically is there to tell you when you're doing something right, and he is always telling me when I'm doing something right. I love that, and that's what has helped me personally. Randy has been a great coach for me in my own goals, and with that, he's given me so much more confidence, and I never had that much confidence until Randy came on board.
As an athlete, you learn, you look in someone's eyes and you can tell if he or she is ready before they go out to play. You can see fear, you can see excitement. I've learned that in playing sports. So your mouth may say, yeah, I'm ready to go, but your eyes tell me, boy, I got to play Michael Jordan tonight. I don't know if I'm up to the task. So I think leading a team is the same way. You have to get the alignment with the mouth and the eyes. You got to get the understanding as well as the conviction. And I think once you have that, man, there's nothing this team can't do.